in one way or another, and involved in the work of the radio, and names mentioned and familiar to you as well. But very happy to come and meet up and share with you. So it's a little initiative or endeavour that we've established now. In other words, this is our third visit this year. So we've been to St. Mel's Cathedral, we've been to visit St. Patrick's College Maynooth, and now to Knock as well. So there's some nice little video footage which is in the offing. I think it's nice that it comes to light sometime after the event. It takes quite a while to edit and produce and put all of these things together. So we'll be posting up to our social media our trip to St. Mel's with the just elements and highlights really of the guided tour there, and sharing with you some of the moments from that as well. There'll be another video, please God, posted up too, where Kitty Ross very kindly hosted us with some local refreshment and knowledge too, and told us the story from her perspective of the image of the Holy Family in St. Mel's, and that's a great treasure to have that on video now. So do watch out for that. We'll give it a plug when it goes up online there, and we should probably boost these things on our social media as well to get a little bit more in the way of viewership. And it's just a nice little element of the radio here that you can come and see and join with us. And we're just mindful of that, particularly for so many of you who might not otherwise be able to come on such trips and would love to otherwise come, and circumstances may simply just prevent it. So it is that on our social media, Facebook and YouTube, we can make these things available to you as well visually. And there'll be, short summary videos, of course, but just very in the spirit of Radio Maria, posted up there for you to share with. So do look forward to that. And there'll be a lovely video of Maynooth and some of the highlights of our Knock trip in due course as well. So thanks again indeed to all who were involved. Ken O'Mahony was a great support to us. Ken is a stalwart. He's been going on such trips for years, donkey's years as they say, and is very proficient and knows all the ins and outs, and is used to dealing with people and catering for all their needs and guiding a crowd as like sheep and a shepherd, that sort of idea. So between himself and Ruth, everything went very smoothly, thanks be to God, with one or two little delays along the way, but these things are perfectly normal. And I think, as a pilgrim, when you go on a journey like that, there's going to be some level of inconvenience, and not everything will go swimmingly always or to plan. And that's part of what it means to be on pilgrimage, and it can test the patience a little bit at times. But I think everything went very well, thanks be to God, now yesterday. No complaints department needed at all. And really a sense of solidarity and of communion that we've come to know and experience through Radio Maria. So indeed our 3 trips thus far have proved very successful and just very joyful and pleasant outings to the great rich source of treasure there is of faith here in our country. And so we hope to continue on that journey. I'm not sure if Ruth has already yet, we're all a bit tired today, whether she has already yet another venue in mind, but certainly we'll be looking to travelling out and about and reaching out into the future as well. So indeed there's been fabulous work done in Knock, as you know, if you visited any time recently, in terms of catering for crowds. It's interesting to see a little minibus, a little small little electric little bus kind of travelling around the grounds to help people to get from A to B, because if you're advanced in years or a little bit feeble on your feet, great idea to just carry people around from one side of the shrine to the other. It's not a very long walk, but if you're doing a lot on your feet and doing a lot of walking all day and you're a bit frail, great idea to get the little minibus there. And it's kind of manned and driven around all day. And, a wonderful addition to see that in the shrine. Somebody else employed with that. And a number of gardeners out as well this time of year, putting plants down and flowers and out, preparing the landscaping and that for the big feast day, of course, on August the 22nd. And as I see too, the very business-like approach. They have some fine literature produced in Knock now to tempt you to come and visit the shrine. Excuse me. The programme of ceremonies and devotions from the 1st of May through to the 9th of October, and the layout of the the Mass times there. So lovely to see that as well, and times you can join in for adoration. And when the confession chapel is open from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And it was lovely indeed, just encouraged many of our pilgrims to get to Holy Mass, or get to confession rather, which was a wonderful part of the journey, and many availed of that too. And I see there's music for a Midsummer's Night evening here going on at Knock as well, in the Basilica. So they have obviously venues and things lined up. Admission is free, I see to that one. It's on the 11th of June. It's a little bit away now, but 7 p.m. in the Basilica. So looks like there'll be some beautiful music celebrated there. So great to see. Knock is thriving. And indeed, just chatting with the sacristan yesterday as well, how delighted they are that the pilgrim season has begun in earnest, and people are most certainly finding their way back in great numbers, and they're being kept busy. So that's good, marvellous. And the shrine, I must say, is looking very well and very clean and tidy, and being run very efficiently. It takes a kind of a business head, all right, to push these things along and get things running in right order, and to facilitate the needs of the pilgrims. I better take a drink. My throat is running dry. Sorry about that. That's a bit better. So it really was a lovely trip, we must say, and we enjoyed it very much, and please God, we're hoping the first of many such pilgrimages for us, not just to Knock, but to other places around the country, and to make it a Radio Maria specific event, and that you get a chance to meet some of us as well. So Maura and Una have dropped into the studio today. They've come across there from Athlone direction, Roscommon direction, and very welcome. And can I just put that out to you? We're just chatting about this on the bus, that we've been encouraging you to come pay a visit. It's summertime, and pop up here on a Saturday morning. Might be here for a weekday, suits you, by all means come along. But just let us know that you're coming, and we can just line things up for you and prepare the way. And just so that the building isn't altogether overrun either, and that we can manage, and that we can be here to meet you as well and greet you. As you know, I'm not here every day of the week. If there's a promotion on, I'll be out and about somewhere, like a trip to Knock and that. Again, just that we can make ourselves as much available to you as possible for a trip and a visit. We're just recommending a Saturday morning, say into the afternoon. There'll be adoration going on here in our chapel, Holy Mass at 10, and you might like to join us for prayer at the microphone maybe, or just come on and have a look around the studio, meet and greet everyone here. A weekday, of course, everyone is here in full force, generally anyway, and you get to meet all the various personalities here too. Weekend things are probably a little bit quieter, which is why we're suggesting it might be a more convenient time to visit, especially if you're working or that too. So do consider it. Give us a call, give us a text, or an email. Write to us and just let us know. As always, the contact details 089 467 2000 is the text and WhatsApp number. 089 467 2000, and email us info@radiomaria.ie, very simple and short, and do give us a call on 014 123456. Margaret is downstairs very kindly at the phones, as indeed Mary and Martina. Ruth we're all around really, so there shouldn't be any excuse to the phone. The 4 lines keep us busy, and we're happy to answer your call. 014 123456. Again, if you're outside of Ireland, if you're in the north of Ireland too, +353 14123 is the number to call. +353 89 467 2000 if you'd like to text and WhatsApp us here. And finally, if you'd like to write, please do. We're here at St. Anthony's Business Park, Ballymount Road, Dublin 22. And we do love to hear from you. Martina and Mary will be back at the microphone here live at Corpus 12 to share with you the latest in correspondence and that as well. So very good. So thanks indeed to one and all that we met in Knock yesterday. As I say, we just really enjoyed the visit, and it was just lovely to meet so many people. Sister Susan Evangelist came along as well from Donegal, and I think Sister Susan kind of doubles up between Knock and Donegal. she's kind of a bit everywhere at times, and it was just very nice to bump into her. We have some pictures. I don't think I have any on my phone, but I must speak to Ruth. I'm sure she's probably already posting them up on our Facebook page, so have a look at the social media. Keep an eye out there, and you'll see the various images coming up for you there too. Now let's see, there's a lot of little news and items there in front of me as well, and just looking my way through the long list that we have before us here. I see Loch Derg is mentioned there. Now there's a place we should have a Radio Maria pilgrimage to as well. That'll be a nice tough call there for us, heading off to do a bit of prayer and fasting. I wonder how that would work. There probably isn't. We wanted to speak to Father Lara there. If we were to do a broadcast from Loch Derg, that might actually be a nice moment to consider. Anyway, it's just one of so many fabulous places that we love to come and visit. Just a few of our saints today quickly. Saint Mary Magdalene de Pazzi, or Pazzi, I'm not sure how P-A-Z-Z-I is pronounced exactly. 1607 was the year she died. She was, only about 41 years of age, a Carmelite in Florence, and offered her life for the spiritual renewal of the church. A mystic, these extraordinary mystics, I don't know if you ever met a mystic, or somebody who seems to be so close to God that it seems as if you're kind of looking in the window, or I've met such people, and listen, you know you're in the presence of somebody who's deeply connected to the Lord, and invariably has had a life of suffering of one kind, has had a great cross to carry. It seems that through the cross the Lord advances a person in the spiritual life very rapidly. So she was born in Florence of a wealthy family, closely associated with the Medicis. Two contemporary portraits show that she was strikingly beautiful, but she renounced everything to become a Carmelite nun, and in spite of strong family opposition, naturally, professed in 1584, so she would have been 18 at the time, became a novice mistress in 1598, so another 14 years later, and later sub-prioress. And from 1604 onwards, she was bedridden and suffered much pain and aridity. Arid, meaning dryness, as if the Lord had somehow abandoned her. And this is characteristic of the great mystics and the great saints. However it is, St. Teresa of Avila's famous quote, "Lord, the suffering she endured. If this is how you treat your friends, it's no wonder you have so few." Such is the way with these extraordinary saints, that they endure this aridity, or God, as it were, distancing himself from the soul in order to test or prove their fidelity and their love. It's a most extraordinary feature of the spiritual life. Her spiritual life was extraordinary and included many visions and ecstasies. During these she sometimes seemed lifeless, but at others she conversed with Christ and the saints. Her words, then spoken, were recorded in detail and form an important component of her 7 volumes of writings. She sometimes prophesied future events and could read the secrets of hearts. Well, that must have been something, sitting next to her when she's in an ecstatic vision, like communion with the other world, so to speak, or the it's actually not so much the other world, the invisible, which is around us all the time. God is nearer to us than the door, isn't that lovely expression, Oscailga, that cowardly, I don't know the exact Irish expression of it, nearer, anyway, no on Doris anyway, be the latter end of it, so that God is help us nearer than the door. Know that God is with us and around us. We tend to get distracted and pulled away to all kinds of material things, and necessary maybe, as many of them are, but they might disconnect us from the things of God. Not so with mystics. These favours that she received, and this is the important dimension of these great saints, were balanced by acute sufferings, based on sharing in the sufferings of Christ for sinners and heretics and infidels. Violent headaches and hyper-acute sensitivity with temptations to taking her own life were accompanied by paralysis. I just can't even begin to imagine that sort of level of suffering, and how God would allow it and test her in that way. Knowing that death was near, she exhorted the sisters to love Jesus alone, to trust in him implicitly, and encourage each other constantly to suffer for love of him. So maybe these saints are lessons to us of the closeness of the Lord to sustain us even in the worst of circumstances, or the worst of temptations, or the worst of sufferings too. So these mystics extraordinary. I haven't read actually anything of Mary Magdalene de Patsy. There's a long list of these great saints that one of the days I'll get to reading, get time to read. Might have to wait till some of this till eternity to actually get to meet them and speak with them and hear, sort of sit at their feet and listen to their glorious stories of God's working in their lives. So she's one of our saints today. She's optional, along with the other two great saints, Saint Bede, the Venerable, and Pope Saint Gregory VII. Again, extraordinary saints of our time. And how do you fit them all in, or how do you keep a tab on them, or how do you manage to keep track of them all? See if I got Pope Saint Gregory here. I got him marked in my little book as well. Gregory VII. Of plebeian origin. Pleb, I think, is the word for people, sort of kind of the common classes. So not a wealthy class by any means. Born in Tuscany, and went to Rome when very young, became a monk, and was chosen by Pope Gregory the Sixth as his chaplain, in which capacity he shared the Pope's exile in 1046. And Hildebrand, as he was generally known, retired to a monastery on Gregory VI's death in 1047, returned to Rome in 1049 with Pope Leo IX, who was just elected Pope, and under him and his successors occupied important financial and other offices. And he came to formulate papal policy in a way not unlike that of a modern Secretary of State. Except that Hildebrand, as his religious name was, Gregory VII, except that his influence was both more theoretical and more thoroughgoing than a modern-day Secretary of State, that is. So obviously a brilliant mind, I'm sure, and a very hard worker as well. He was elected Pope in 1073 and began his work for church reform. Never an easy thing. Pope Francis is busy in trying to work to reform the curial offices in Rome, and kind of reassigning and reappointing, and there's hiring and firing a bit going on to try to get things on track, and to kind of root out maybe staid practices, or people who've been in the job for too long, that kind of idea, and doing some fresh outlook to it, particularly to try to redress some of the Vatican finances, which they've done tremendous work on, but by all accounts is still a terrible mess, and a lot of unravelling still to be done. But they've been working, I know, very hard on it in Pope Francis's tenure. And it's just to streamline things and to save on costs, and to, some surgery needed on some of the crazy investments that went on in the past, and some of the corruption. Anywhere there's money flowing, there will always be temptation to corruption. The Lord had it himself in the 12 apostles, and it's unacceptable, absolutely. It's just not on at all, especially when it comes to the church's resources. And so that we know from the news and from what's going on, this is being firmly addressed, and a tight grip being established on it again. And that's good to know. I just can't imagine what a headache of a job that's likely to be as well. So we know that Pope Francis, again, here we have with Pope Gregory VII, tightening things up. So the reforms that he was working against was simony, again, which was sort of buying and selling in blessings or indulgences, or these sorts of abuses, terrible abuses, and in the incontinence of the clergy. Clergy, again, taking concubines in this sort of, just completely unacceptable behaviour and practice. He went on then to a more comprehensive quest for the liberty of the Church in practice by forbidding lay investiture of ecclesiastical offices. So obviously establishing sort of necessary boundaries between lay and clergy. Sounds like there's a lot of corruption in his time, and naturally it aroused much hostility during and after his lifetime, and affected most of Western Europe, including England, and had its own impact. Obviously, again, there was abuses going on, and somebody had to begin to address this, and it's never going to be liked. It's never going to be liked. So, talk about the sign of the cross in the lives of the saints. If Sarah Magdalene, the Patsy, had all these intense physical and spiritual sufferings, Pope Gregory VII was not Mr. Popular. As Pope John the 23rd said, a couple of women were commenting on his rotundness, and he said, "My dear madam, the papacy is not a beauty contest." So it's not a popularity contest or a beauty contest by any stretch. And any of those major positions of responsibility, especially when you're trying to bring about some reform or trying to bring things back into the line of orthodoxy, and that will meet with opposition. And poor Pope Francis is no exception either. And it seems at times the opposition is quite uncharitable from those who should be a little bit more charitable and give the man some latitude or some room to need to do what he needs to do. But such is the nature of things, such is the nature of the cross, such is the nature of the road to holiness, the same as well. Excuse me. Historians, like contemporaries, were divided in their estimate of Gregory. He has been, Gregory VII now, Hildebrand, he has been considered by some an ambitious tyrant, oh the poor guy, an unscrupulous and intransigent pope who deformed the papacy. See, does that sound familiar? Others make a more favourable estimate, one who devoted his life to reforming and strengthening the church, to which he was utterly devoted, partly because he saw himself as being the vicar of St. Peter, and, lacking any worldly position by birth, he was detached from the temporal involvements of most ecclesiastics. So it sounds to me like his detractors really did not like this man at all. And so they would characterize him then as a kind of a tyrant. That's simply not the case. He wouldn't be canonized a saint. And you can't be both. You see, this is the thing. History can't say, well, you're one thing on the one hand and you're complete opposite on the other. It simply makes no sense. And you see, what redeems him, you might say, is his poor background of plebeian origin. So he had no attachments to the kind of worldly chattels and goods and everything that accompanied ecclesiastical office back in those Middle Ages. There was shocking abuses going on. See, human nature doesn't change that much, and glad indeed in our times there's far, far greater accountability in all departments, and it's a work in progress. It always has to be. What is certain is that the Gregorian reform, which owed much to him than to any other individual, was a successful revolutionary movement which has profoundly modified the relation between church and state, the nature of the clerical and monastic orders, and involvement of Christianity in society ever since. So his contribution sounds to me like it was fairly epic in its own way, and of significant proportions there. No, did I leave my... I did. I left my phone lying around somewhere, so I don't have any connections with text message or emails. I'll have to go and fetch it. So good. We'll line up a piece of music for you as well, thanks to Shane and to Thomas, who's in volunteering at the mixing desk today. Again, if you'd like to get in touch, please do send us a text message, 089 467 2000, and do email us, info@radiomaria.ie. And do write to us as well at St. Anthony's Business Park, Ballymont Road, Dublin 22. So I might give a wave in here to the production studio, see if I can grab anyone's attention, and we might see if we can introduce a little break. It doesn't look like they're both absolutely glued to their monitors there, and I'm not getting any attention here at all. So it means I'll have to continue on regardless. Okay, letting the side down. Very good. So we've got a couple of items of news that I want to share with you as well anyway. And just might mention Lough Derg is a lovely place of pilgrimage and prayerful presence. And it's set up again for its 3-day pilgrimage season to begin. The pilgrimage team on the island of Lough Derg in Pettigo is the name of the little place, the little village there, the townland where it is in County Donegal, are busy making final preparations for pilgrims arriving for the 3-day pilgrimage season, which runs from the 1st of June to the 15th of August. So coming up the next week, the week after. So the 3-day pilgrimage season that you're already familiar with. But just good maybe to get a little update there. It says for 1,500 years, Lough Derg has been a sacred place over the centuries. It has been synonymous with the name of St. Patrick. And the first monks settled at Lough Derg in the 5th century, not long after St. Patrick came to Ireland. It would seem to have been well established as a place of pilgrimage by the 9th century and on a world map of 1492. That's interesting now, isn't it? The time Columbus discovered America. The only place marked within Ireland is the penitential island named as St. Patrick's Purgatory. How about that? On a map of 1492. Let's see a little image of that. Still today, the island can offer a meeting place where God's healing grace is experienced in an intensity seldom encountered elsewhere, through the spiritual programs, the companionship of fellow pilgrims, and the sense of a place apart that is enhanced by the remote location of the island. So indeed, it takes a little while to get there, and it's a 3-day pilgrim of penance. So you're on the way and you're already fasting and praying. You get to the island, you take off the shoes and socks, and you're in bare feet, and you're deprived of a night's sleep, and have to continue in the prayers in the stations as well. Now Shane has arrived there at the mixing desk. We'll line up a little piece of music, just give my voice a little rest, and we'll come back to this as well. We'll value your company indeed. As I say, do get in touch via text and WhatsApp. Do give a call on the landline as well. Do send us an email. So Shane, if you're at the ready there, we'll pause for a little piece of music and we'll be back very shortly. Thank you.
In the darkest hour, when I cannot breathe, fear is on my chest, the weight of the world on me. Everything's crashing down, everything I've known. When I wonder if I'm all alone, I remember. I can't stop thinking about your goodness, goodness. I can't stop thinking about, I can't stop thinking about, I can't stop thinking about your goodness, goodness. I can't stop thinking about, I can't stop thinking about, I can't stop thinking about your goodness, goodness. I can't stop thinking about, I can't stop thinking about, I can't stop.
Welcome back to our Chatechesis this morning. Thanks to Shane there. Just give me a little pause and chance for me to rescue my phone and just catch up on one or two messages there. Thanks indeed to Olivia, who just got in touch there too. Let me see when I lost it now again. Here it is. She was listening back to the Chatechesis on Saturday, and I've been just dipping in a little bit for you to the Psalms, and I'll keep doing that. I'll come back to that again and share with you a little bit more. Again, I don't rank myself in any way, shape, size or form as a scripture scholar. Anyway, very much a layman in that regard. But we do have that beautiful resource and treasure in the book of Psalms. And I was just putting it to you to let us know what your favourite psalm is. Olivia says she was listening back to the Chatechesis, and I was asking about favourite psalms. And on a nightly Zoom group, we pray Psalm 91. And I think it is just powerful. Recommend it to everyone to get it out and read it. And Psalm 90, Psalm 91, it's the dual numbering system. Some would call it Psalm 90. And it's part of the Divine Office in the church that's prayed every Sunday evening. He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High abides in the shade of the Almighty. It invokes the powerful protection of God's angels and of God Himself on people in time of great crisis or trial or struggle. And even though thousands surround you, thousands may stand at your right, the Lord's power will crush and trample underfoot the lion and the dragon. So God's power is sufficient to overcome all things. And the prayer is often invoked in the same manner as St. Michael the Archangel, asking for protection and victory over and vanquishing evil, particularly. That's Psalm 90. We might come back and dwell on that a little bit more, but thanks for that, Olivia. Certainly it's lovely. Eileen also texted in there that Psalm 42 was one of her favourites there. Like the deer that yearns for running streams, so my soul is yearning for you, my God. And as we know, so many beautiful settings of the Psalms, we should really dip in and try to that was Audrey Assad a while ago. She's kind of a Christian music warrior there. Maybe we should dip in and pick a little psalm setting during Chatechesis as well. It might and unpack it a little bit for you. Might work a little bit better for Chatechesis time. Note to self. So many notes to self at this stage. So thank you, Olivia. Thanks, Eileen. Thanks for all who get in touch with us and share with us as well. And thank you as well for the nice feedback as well. Doreen says thanks to all to Radio Maria for a wonderful day in Knock yesterday. And God bless you all. And Marie as well. She says, Father Eamonn and all at Radio Maria Ireland, words can't convey my appreciation for attending and praying together the Most Reverend Holy Mass and the Stations of the Cross with you all in Knock, and trusting you all got home safe. Indeed, we were all here. We're a bit, heads are hanging a small bit today. There's a bit of a tiredness around the building. And she says, have a glorious day with regards, Marie. So thank you, Marie, for that text as well. And didn't get a chance to partly chat to you at all yesterday, Marie. It was kind of queue of people there to try to meet and greet and to say hello to. Difficult to speak with everybody for any length of time. So we did meet some lovely long-standing listeners and people that I know by text or by email. Paul Carroll was there. Others as well that, again, meeting for the first time. And just, again, a lovely moment, really. Kind of like meeting your pen friend. Would that be a kind of apt description? So please God, as I say, we'll do more of that into the future, and a chance to go out and about and meet you all. So here, just to finish on Loch Derg, it's been described as the Iron Man of pilgrimages. The 3-day pilgrimages offer a special opportunity to take time out and experience the embrace of the deep love and mercy of God. Pilgrims undertake the program of prayer and quiet reflection in bare feet, keeping vigil for 24 hours and maintaining a fast from the midnight prior to their arrival, with one simple Loch Derg meal each day, which is dry bread and water, black tea, black coffee, I think, or these dry kind of biscuits they have, which are pretty tasteless, but something to put in the system. So in this way, leaving themselves personally open to experience God's presence to them in the unique spiritual atmosphere which pervades the out-of-the-way location of the island. So, to be recommended. We should get Father La Flynn to come on maybe and chat with us and give a little plug, a shout out too. It's a centuries-old pattern of prayer and fasting, and all the details are available, of course, online as well, lochderg.org. You'll find everything there. There's 1-day retreats as well as 3-day pilgrimages. The Pilgrim Path, Loch Shore Pilgrimage. Sounds like there's a number of variations on the theme there to suit all categories and all sizes. So this sanctuary lies about 4 miles north of the village of Pettico in County Donegal. Station Island is often referred to as St. Patrick's Purgatory, or simply Loch Derg. So it's under the custodianship of the Diocese of Clogher there, and Clogher is up there in Monaghan and Fermanagh, Tyrone, Donegal, Louth, Cavan, that little corner of the country there too. So, very good. Recommending to you Loch Derg. We might touch in on that again. Starting the 1st of June, so coming up, it's about a week's time now. It's the 25th of May, of course, today, so coming up very soon. Now we just bring to prayer today the very sad story there of the shootings in Texas. These things are very, very upsetting, and they really raise the questions of the idea of being legally allowed to bear arms. It touches really to the heart. 19 innocent children and an 18-year-old gunman, so cannot be of sound mind or body at all, and the lives of 2 teachers as well. Why on earth? How on earth? What? Lives of families utterly decimated and just overrun and overwrought by this deep, deep tragedy. So the Pope condemns this indiscriminate act and the trafficking of arms that sort of accompanies some of the sort of availability of such weapons. And again, our hearts and our thoughts and our prayers just go to the Lord. Cardinal Cupich said we must weep and pray, but we must certainly act as well. So may God grant them all eternal rest. May the Lord certainly be with their families. Such a deeply upsetting and deeply tragic moment there in a school. So mass shootings, the Cardinal has noted as well, sadly have become a daily reality in America today. Recalling that last week dozens of people fell victims to such events. And the size of the crisis and its sheer horror make it all too easy to throw up one's hands and say, look, what can we do? But he says, no, we have to hope for better for our children. We must weep and soak in the grief that comes with the knowledge that these children of God were cut down by a gunman just a few years their senior. And he issues an urgent appeal. We need to also steel ourselves to act in the face of what seems like insurmountable despair. Oh, very, very upsetting. So let's lift them all up to prayer in the Lord, and mindful of this deep, tragic occasion, and so many others too that seem to be part and parcel of a growing sort of sense of violence and disregard for human life in our society, in our communities. This is deeply upsetting indeed. So we have much to pray for. We were very mindful of that. Excuse me, and very conscious of the great wounds that afflict so many and the deep hurts. And how awful for all of those families, how terribly, terribly upsetting. So all the more reason that we can journey together, stay with one another, pray with one another, pray for one another. The Psalm 90, that the Lord will protect us from on a high, watch over us and guard us, keep us safe, send his angels to guard us, but work, as the Cardinal is suggesting, to weep and to pray, but certainly to work fervently for peace as well. Now it's just coming up to 12 o'clock, so thank you so much for joining me here today in our Chatechesis. Lovely to have your company. Please do stay with us. We'll take our leave on video, but please stay and pray with us now. After the bells are Regina Celli and our midday prayer.